Joe, was this the right call, or do you still feel like after having a little more than 24 hours to digest what we saw that Kevin Magnussen was at fault here?
It has taken all 24 hours to think about this because initially it looked like a slam dunk case where, okay, you wouldn't anticipate Magnussen to be there. You were focusing on Nico Hulkenberg on the left side, and then this crash occurred, especially this early that we just started the race. But then as that replay was showing, it looked like Sergio Perez was aware that Magnussen was there. We know how the drivers race each other, whereas Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, they're going to race you to the point where either you lift off or you're both going to crash. I started wondering, did Sergio Perez assume Kevin Magnussen will lift off because he knows Kevin Magnussen, his situation with the points, and unfortunately neither driver lifted off and they ended up crashed out? That's what I started thinking. So overall, I don't believe this is 100% Magnussen's fault. Can someone say this was very too early to make this kind of aggressive move? Potentially. But let's be honest, we know, as we just discussed, Monaco is so hard for passing. This is your best opportunity. You might as well go for it. It's just unfortunate it didn't work out. This is a racing deal where I feel like fans are going to be split on. It's just one of those deals where I just think, considering he's facing a race ban, probably race control was just a little bit more, okay, seeing everything, we're just going to say it was a racing incident, no further investigation.
Yeah, Joe, I tend to agree with you, especially on that last part. I think maybe this was the stewards, trying to cut Magnussen a break, saying like, we really don't want to give you these 2 penalty points, and give you a race ban, so we're gonna let this one slide for now. But yeah, at first, it was, once we saw it happen, we're obviously like, yep, based on Kevin Magnussen's antics we've seen from him so far this season, like that was probably his fault. But once we saw more angles about it, like maybe it was 50% his fault, maybe 50% Perez. Maybe that's why they decided to call it a racing incident, but who knows? But all in all, I think Magnussen needs to be counting his blessings right now that he didn't get called on this and get 2 additional penalty points, because then Ollie Behrman would have been getting ready to get a race in the Haas car. So I think, there's something for Magnussen to put behind him and move forward at the next race when we go to the Canadian Grand Prix. And speaking of the Canadian Grand Prix, I like to bring up an interesting story circulating in Formula One media today. It's been reported by several outlets, including Sky Sports F1, that that incident we saw yesterday between the Alpine drivers, Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, it could cause some issues within the team, and the Alpine is potentially looking at imposing a self-imposed 1 race ban for Esteban Ocon for the incident. So I think that would be really crazy if Esteban Ocon gets suspended over that incident with Pierre Gasly. And we already know the relationship between Gasly and Ocon. They were childhood friends turned foes, and they haven't liked each other at all for years. So it's a very intense rivalry between those two. I think it would be really wild if they decided to, ban Ocon for racing. I guess put in their reserve driver, Jack Doohan.
I was just going to ask who would be on that short list or who the reserve driver would be, but I guess there you go. That's the answer.